I read something over the weekend from Dietrich Bonhoeffer. You don't remember who Dietrich Bonhoeffer was? He was a pastor, he was a Lutheran pastor in Germany. He was a pacifist. He, talked about peace, peace, peace forever, and taught peace. And then it got to a place in, I think it was 1942 or 43. He was like, "This has got to stop." And so he threw his hat in with Valkyrie. Which is that Tom Cruise movie. And before the movie, it was an actual event. But he was caught and thrown in jail. And he wasn't executed. And he was kind of executed kind of by mistake in the end because he died 15 days, I think, before Hitler died, killed himself. And they were just executing everybody in this one prison. But he wasn't supposed to be in that prison, but that's a different story. He has written some of the most beautiful things in prison. I mean, his understanding of marriage, and he was never married, had a love of his life outside of prison, and he was like, "We can't forget me, forget me, forget me, forget me." And he wrote a sermon for his sister's wedding that understands marriage in such beautiful ways. And he's writing this stuff while he's, at the end, he's writing some stuff where he is just beautiful, Christ-like stuff. And in the cell with him is the guy who was doing experiments on the Jews, for medical research, and then, shared it with the world. And Hitler was like, "We're not trying to save the world. We're trying to save Germans." So he went into the execution camp. And next to him was a woman who was like a prostitute, and she had become a double spy, a double agent. So these two are doing vile things to each other with him in the same cell, and he's writing this beautiful spiritual stuff. He's an amazing guy. But he was trying to figure out, I think, the same thing that we're going through. And I think the same thing that in some ways both sides think they're going through. Because both sides are saying to themselves, "I can't even talk to these people. I can't even talk to these people. They don't even listen. They have no clue what's wrong with these people," right? I talked to somebody over the weekend who is really, really well-informed, stays up with it all the time, and asked me, "What do you think is really happening with the Epstein stuff?" And I thought, wow, here's somebody really informed that is still there. So much stuff has happened in the last 3 weeks, but that's my job. My job is to be on top of this every day. It's not your job. And even if you are paying attention every day, you only pay attention, or you try to stay alert, but you've got other things to do with your life. And then there are the people who are just tuning out, and they're just like, and I was there this morning. I read this piece, our CIA director was on Maria Bartiromo this weekend, and he was saying, some big stuff is coming this week, and it's got them dead to rights, and they're going to go to jail. And I thought, sure. And I caught myself saying that, and I thought, why? If I feel that way, what does the average listener feel? You got to feel that way, right? I mean, don't we all I've seen this movie before. And just like Charlie Brown, we line the football up every time. No, this time she's going to kick it. Or this time I'm going to kick it, and she's not going to pull it away at the last minute. Yeah. Every time. How do we break through to people? Listen to what Dietrich Bonhoeffer wrote. Stupidity is more dangerous, a more dangerous enemy of the good than malice. Stupidity is a more dangerous enemy of the good than malice. Stupidity, not evil, is the greater threat. Not because it's more powerful, but because stupidity is unreachable. You can expose evil. You can argue with it. You can shine a light on it. You can resist it. But stupidity just doesn't respond. It doesn't engage. It just is, and it spreads. So what did he mean by that? He didn't mean a lack of intelligence. In fact, some of the stupidest people he encountered in Germany were very highly educated. Some were university professors. right? In our own life, they're university professors. You're like, are you stupid? What is wrong with you? What he's talking about is moral failure. It's a willful surrender of independent thought, a kind of intellectual cowardice that allows propaganda and groupthink to take over and become the root like cancer. Okay? You may have thought at some point, but you really have stopped. Now, I want to make this very clear. This is on both sides. This is on both sides. I have seen people on our side that you talk to and you're like, no, that's not true. And they immediately just eyes glaze over and you're like, oh boy, they're not there anymore. Bonhoeffer called it a psychological problem. It emerges in groups and crowds and movements. Listen to this. People hand over their discernment, not because they're dumb, but because they choose not to think. They let slogans replace ideas. They let ideology replace truth. How much has that happened? Where ideology, well, that's not true. You're basing this all on lies. It's not true. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because they've surrendered thought. Same thing with slogans. I mean, if I hear, global warming is our World War III one more time, I think I'm gonna lose my mind. No, look, everything you say, all the scientists agree. No, they don't. No, they don't. Have you looked into it yourself? No. But all the scientists agree. No, they don't. Their eyes glaze over. They think you're wrong. They won't even look into it. No matter what you show them, they will not look at it. And if they do, they're reading it to figure out a way to find the way they're right and you're wrong. They've surrendered entirely to whatever it is they serve. We ask, don't you see what's happening? Don't you see it? The things that you said would never, ever happen. The things you told me were conspiracy theories. The things you said, that's not true at all. It's happening right in front of you right now. Right now. Don't you see it? The inversion of morality. When? When did you decide it was okay to have transsexual strippers perform in front of children? Because that's been wrong since the dawn of man. If I went back 10 years with you, and I proposed that, you would have said, that's outrageous. But now it's happening and you think it's good. Can you tell me the thoughts that brought you there? No, you're a bigot. You're just a bigot. Why do you hate transgenderism? No, what are you talking about? I want to understand you. Can you take me from where you were in 2015 to where you are today? Show me the building of this ideology that you now have. Love is love. That's a slogan. You're not arguing anymore with people who disagree. You're not even arguing with people who are wrong. You are now confronting someone who has abdicated the responsibility of thought themselves. I mean, they're no longer thinking. And again, I want to make this clear. This is not just a disease on the left. The right has it too. You must not surrender thinking. Listen to this. Bonhoeffer described it this way. The power of the one needs the stupidity of the other. And he saw it firsthand. The German people, they were good people. They were church-going people. They allowed the Nazi machine to rise, not because they all hated Jews or they wanted war, but because they refused to think. We were just talking about the starvation in Gaza. Think that one through. Think it through. You're protesting for the Gazans. You're protesting for the Palestinians, and you're gay, and you're marching with your gay transvestite lesbian group. They'll kill all of you. Think it through. But here's what happens. The stupid, again on both sides, the stupid emotionally and spiritually get swept up in something bigger than themselves. This is our World War II. They get swept up. You want to be on the wrong side of history or the right side of history? Save the earth. It's much bigger than just you. And like an offering, they hand their minds and their thinking over to the one. And they become uncritical. They become certain of things they're actually not certain of. They're certain of things they never themselves examined. They just stopped thinking. It's not ignorance. It's not even misinformation. It's not even ideology. It's stupidity. And I think this is why most of us feel so exhausted because, you speak the truth, you lay out the facts, you plead, you listen. You're like, no, you have to read this. And nothing moves. It's like there's a giant barricade. And it is. And nothing's going to take that barricade down. Nothing. Because they have an emotional alliance to an idea or a tribe that they chose. Again, both sides. They chose it and they absorbed it. And now they've been conditioned to feel certainty. And so they know everything. And you're wrong. No matter what you present to me, you're wrong. So how do you fight this? I'm going to show what Bonhoeffer said. And then, miraculously, something came to my attention this morning right before the show. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what Bonhoeffer, and it's a solution. And I'm going to show you how it works. Okay, so how many times have we tried to give the right argument? Well, how many times have we tried to give proof? And proof, a lot of times, from the New York Times. I mean, it's one thing to say this is a proof, and then it's, you're giving me Glenn Beck. I don't. No. Proof that is there. Proof in their own words or whatever. And it's not enough. Because that's not where the battle really lies. You cannot debate a person out of the fog. Because they've chosen to live in the fog. It has to be words of moral liberation. An awakening. A shock, a call from within. So how do you do that? Now, this is what Bonhoeffer says. Only an act of liberation, not instruction, can overcome stupidity. I spent all weekend, what the hell does that even mean? First, it means we have to stop winning arguments. And we have to start planting seeds. Don't speak to the mind, speak past it. Speak to the conscience. Speak to the soul. And sometimes that takes a crisis. Sometimes it takes suffering. Sometimes it just takes somebody holding up a light in a very, very dark room. This is why what I'm going to be doing in January means so much to me, because this is the torch. It's holding a light in a very dark room, in a different kind of light. Because it's not just about giving people the right information. We've tried that. It's about reawakening the moral spine. It's about helping people see again, not just the facts, but meaning, truth, beauty, justice. The why beneath everything that is happening. Because the stupid person does not ask, is that true? He asks, is it popular? The stupid person doesn't say, is that right? They say, what does it cost me to believe that or not believe that? That's how stupid people make decisions. And again, I'm not talking about intellectually stupid. I'm talking about people who have surrendered their own mind. So we need a generation that can once again say yes to truth, even though it's really unpopular. And I think we're seeing them. I think this generation that is coming is this generation who will choose to see even when it's easier to look away, who will stand when the crowd runs the other way. Bonhoeffer did that, and Bonhoeffer lost everything, and I mean everything. But he gave us a map. So if you ever feel the ache of, talking to people and you're like, oh my gosh, don't give up. Do not give up. You're not crazy. You're not alone. And you're not wrong. You're just speaking to people who can no longer hear an argument. They need courage. So let's give them that.